Welcome to 3 Minute Pro. Today I'm going to talk about the Olympus OM2 Spot Program, which is my favourite 35mm camera. Here is the Olympus OM2 Spot Program. As you can see, it's got very similar lines to the Olympus OM2 from 1975, which is one of the world's best looking cameras in my opinion. Although this one is actually based on the Olympus OM4. So there's some slight differences. You can see the hot shoe is fixed rather than removable, and a few other little bits and pieces. It was introduced in 1984. Here's the wind-on lever, very smooth, and a nice clear clunk of the shutter there. Over on this side is the mode dial. You can see we've got manual, which uses a spot meter. We've got auto, where you change the aperture and the camera will set the shutter speed. Or you can set program, in which case you have to set the smallest aperture. This works with every Olympus OM lens ever made. And the camera will then set the shutter speed and the aperture for you. One of the great things about Olympus cameras is you can use them entirely one-handed. So you can see here, everything to do with exposure is dealt with one hand. You can set the shutter, the aperture there. You can set the focus there. You can set the shutter speed there. So that all aspects of exposure, and even on the bottom, you can see that button there. That allows you to use the depth of field preview. So it's pretty much one-handed operation. On the front of the camera here, you can see this control. That's for the self timer, so you can take pictures of yourself. And just here is a button for illuminating parts of the viewfinder. Instead of using a match needle type metering system, it uses an LCD, which if it's dark is hard to see. So you press this button and it illuminates the LCD in the viewfinder, so you can even see it in dark conditions. On the bottom of the camera, you can see you've got the compartments for the motor drive and the batteries. There's a tripod screw. Here's another connection for the motor drive. This camera will work at 3.5 frames per second if you attach the motor drive. On the top plate, you can see we've got the exposure compensation dial here. This is for when you've set it to automatic, and you can adjust the exposure to increase it or decrease it according to the conditions. So you just move this in 30 stop steps to over or underexposed from the recommended reading. That button there allows you to disengage the film wind on, which allows you to rewind the film when you're finished with it. So you just pull that lever out, rewind it back, round and round, and then when you're finished, you lift that up and the back pops open. This is my setup for 35mm photography. I've got the OM2 Spot Program here. That's my favourite 35mm SLR. On there I've got the 50mm 1.8 standard lens. Very sharp and very useful for most things. You can use it for portraits, general photography, and anything where you want to get narrow depth of field with that 1.8 aperture. It's very sharp. I've got the 28mm wide angle here. That's good for street photography, good for landscapes, all sorts of things. You can keep it on the camera. I've got the 100mm 2.8 here, a little bit more specialist. That's a brilliant portrait lens, and you can get for quite narrow depth of field. All these lenses are very good prices. The 50mm, 28 and the 100mm, you can get them all for about £60, which is about $90 US. That is a brilliant kit for general 35mm photography, and it does everything I need. I really recommend this camera.